Let us now move on to the second plenary session of the day, a very engaging fireside chat to begin with. In this session, we delve into the critical aspects of modern warfare, the facilitative framework of transparent warfare. Our moderator for this stimulating fireside chat is Dr. RK Tyagi, a luminary in the field of aerospace and defense. Dr. Tyagi, a former chairman of HAL, and the founding member of Governing Council of SAMDeS, will guide us through the insightful discussion with our esteemed guest speakers. Please join me in welcoming the guest speakers on the stage. Dr. Samir V Kamat, Secretary, Department of Defense R&D and Chairman DRDO. Shri Sanjeev Kumar, IAS, Secretary, Department of Defense Production. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our esteemed panel guests on the stage, please. I may request the moderator to kindly start with the session.
A warm welcome, Mr. Samir Kamat and Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, the two stalwarts who enable our defense forces and the technical might of our great country, India. And in fact, whatever the defense forces need, Samir does the R&D on that, and Sanjeev Kumar sir, you are the person who convert that into the production. Great efforts. And just to set the background, like today, India is the largest democracy of the world and the fourth largest economic power. And we have a very strong military, second largest army, fourth largest in the Air Force, sixth largest Navy. And when we talk of Global Firepower Index 2024, then we are talking India is on the fourth position out of 145 countries, which is a great achievement. Come 2047, we aspire to be a developed country, a country which will be capable in all respects of modern civilization. This is as far as the growth potential of India is concerned. Coming to some of the challenges, 15,200 kilometers of land borders, 7,500 of sea borders, coastlines. We have 9 countries as our neighbors, and some of them highly unstable and volatile. The complexion of the war is changing. The way we fought the previous wars will be entirely different from the way we will fight the future wars. Our Raksha Mantri ji, Shri Rajnath Singh ji, last month in Delhi Defense Dialogue organized by IDSA, stated that be ready for the grey zones and the hybrid fire powers. We have seen how the complexion of war has changed. How it is 2019, followed by Armenia, Azerbaijan war, Russia, Ukraine, and now conflict in the West Asia. We have seen the very aggressive application of missiles, drones, and UAVs, where tank columns and artilleries were just there as the sitting ducks, helplessly waiting for other air power and supports. And Samir ji and Sanjeev ji's today's word, when we talk of war fighting, we talk about high-tech systems, the satellite imageries, real-time drone feeds, AI-driven analytics, data fusion, and all that sort of technology, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and whatnot. When we talk of the transparent warfare, there was a famous statement by General Mark Milley, 2016. He said, on the future battlefield, if you stay in place for more than 2-3 hours, then you are dead. That's the kind of transparency which is available today. And in fact, he says that UAV, drones, and loitering missiles are now important part of the artillery formations. Conventionally, we all have grown up seeing that there will be 3 domains of the war, the land, sea, and aerospace. But now this distinction is fast disappearing. And we are talking of cyber, outer space, electromagnetic spectrum, networks, artificial intelligence, and all that sort of paraphernalia. So under these circumstances, the role of DRDO becomes very, very important. The role of defense production becomes very, very important. And I am glad that DRDO, with more than 200 projects, has really provided a very good as to our technology capabilities. And under the leadership of Sanjeev ji, defense production this time will be producing 1,60,000 worth crore of the equipments to make India self-reliant, and also a export target of 30,000 crore with some exporting to more than 90 countries. So with this, Samir ji, may I invite you that in view of all these challenges, how are you preparing DRDO for the times to come and help India's technological edge?
Thank you, Dr. Tyagi. So at DRDO, we are cognizant of the changing environment. So over the last 2 years, we have been undergoing a transformation, looking at what processes we can improve to speed up the technology development process. As you are aware, the technology life cycles are shrinking. The technologies are becoming obsolete within a 5 to 10 year time frame, where earlier, once you developed a technology, it used to remain cutting edge for at least 20 to 30 years. Yes. So there is a shrinking of the technology cycle, which will necessarily then involve that your technology development cycle has to shrink. So we have looked at how we can speed up our processes. We are now closely working with academia as well as industry in the development process. We have started 15 centers of excellence in the premier academic institutions in the country. Here, we are calling these centers of excellence as DRDO Industry Academia Centers of Excellence, where we can address technology development from low TRL levels to very high TRL levels. So we start off with projects where the academia does the seeding, and then DRDO and the academia take it to TRL level 5 or 6, where the industry comes in and then carries it forward to TRL 9, where production can happen. And we expect that these centers of excellence will act as a hub and spoke model and will result in a creation of an ecosystem of startups, MSMEs around them, like what Caltech, Stanford, and MIT did in the US. We hope that these centers of excellence will result in that kind of an ecosystem being created, where then we can innovate, we can produce technologies quickly. As I said, so this transformation is going to happen. It's a continuous process. We have started that journey. We are also looking at where DRDO we do technology development, we also do systems development. Yeah. We are now, all our projects where we do systems development, we take 2 development cum production partners. So these partners work with us through the development phase, and this is helping us to cut down on the development time, because once we identify a partner, they can use their processes. Yeah. As you are aware, the processes within the government are very slow. So that has helped us in cutting down the development cycle for a system development. And the light tank, the Zorawar, which was mentioned in the previous session, this model has resulted in this tank being developed within 2 years. This tank is now undergoing development trials, and by June, that is within a time frame of 2.5 years, we will be offering it to the user for user trials. Excellent. So as I said, this transformation is a process which has started, and this will help us meet the challenges which the nation is going to face in the years to come. Thank you.
That's really very encouraging to know. And Samirji, tell me one more thing. Like your motto is Balasya Moolam Vijnanam. Science is there.
Source of strength.
Source of strength. And what a common man really wonders is that you have so many technologies to handle in naval systems, then land systems, and aero systems, and they're all changing very, very fast. So, what organizational preparedness, how do you ensure all this wide variety of the technologies, seeing their obsolescence and all those issues?
So, as I said, we have made a roadmap. We have done a technology scan of what is happening globally. We have also sat together with services to identify what kind of wars they would like to fight in the future, or if they are forced to fight, what would be the operational requirements they have. Based on this, and working along with IDS, an integrated capability development plan is being made, and it should be released soon. But based on those discussions, we have identified which technologies are going to play a key role. We are also shedding things which industry can do directly. A lot of our manpower was doing, support of systems which we have already developed. They were involved in upgrades of those systems. So we are shedding all those responsibilities. The industry partners which have helped us in the production, we are encouraging them to take this responsibility forward, so that our scientists are free to address these coming challenges. And I hope with this and what I described, working in tandem with academia, startups, MSMEs, we will be up to meeting the challenge.
Excellent. Excellent. In fact, I am seeing that the way industry is today participating and is bullish in this entire system of R&D and production, it's
remarkable.
It's remarkable.
Yesterday I was in Mumbai. I visited Godrej Industries. The kind of facilities they have set up, the kind of determination they have to get into this sector in a big scale, I think the potential is great. The Atmanirbharta drive of this government has really motivated industries to come into this sector. Earlier, they didn't see a business case because we were importing 60 to 70% of our equipment. But this Atmanirbharta drive has really motivated a lot of industries to come into this sector.
Yeah. In fact, if share market is any index of the confidence of industry in the government systems, it is the defense sector. Defense sector last 2 years, as far as the share price index is concerned, has done very, very well. And Sanjeev ji compliments the way the industry is today confident on defense production. Possibly that was never the scene. And this year's your target of 1,60,000 crore itself is a very, very good target. And I must also compliment you. As an individual, I had been a part of ONGC, then a part of Pavanan, then a part of HAL. And yesterday, the news was that it will be the HAL manufactured helicopters, which will be used in the offshore of ONGC. It is happening for the first time, and Pavanans will be operating it. And what I also understand from those reports is that it was initiative of defense production. You, along with Ministry of Civil Aviation and Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, spearheaded this induction and thus paving a way for Atmanirbhar Bharat in not only in the military domain but also in the civil domain. Means a fantastic example of civil-military integration. That's really the way forward. So how do you plan to develop the Indian industry? What will be your priorities? And what are the areas where you are looking for strengthening further?
Thank you, Tyagi ji. Giving credit to Kamat sir for research is perfectly okay, but giving credit to me for industrial production is something which is overwhelming.
Sir, you are the boss of defense production under inspiration of RM and Honorable Prime Minister.
But I would take it since it is being given to me and convey my thanks to you and all of you. In fact, as Mr. Kamat said and you also said, and all of us recognize that the game-changing decision which was taken by government was going for the Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I must compliment all armed forces that they wholeheartedly loved it. And I must also compliment DRDO for coming out with the technologies. And then I would say that our DPSUs and private industries who have come in big number. And it's very easy to see the enthusiasm in the private sector to be part of defense industries. And when we talk about transparent warfare, though I was not privy to the speeches which were made or the presentation which were made in the first half of the day, but whatever I could gather and also read your concept paper, it's very clear that until unless we engage with a large set of people in industry or in research or academia, and until unless we go for self-reliance, we won't be really make much way ahead in the transparent warfare. Transparent warfare means everything is now available, others to see. So the aim is to see others' preparedness and also to shield whatever we can shield. Whether we would be successful in camouflaging and shielding, one doesn't know. But what it indicates is that we have to be dependent on our own technology, but being dependent on this technology would always be giving the button in the hands of others. So we have to be self-reliant, and thankfully our government took a decision, very courageous decision, and that's how we are able to see this type of production figures and export figures. And I'm sure that with the support of armed force, research, DRDO, our DPSUs, innovativeness and entrepreneurship of the private sector, we would achieve the target of 1,60,000 crore of turnover and 30,000 crore of export. Another point which I would like to make is that probably in the first time in the history of military technologies or military hardware, we are seeing a time where many of the area civilian technologies are ahead of the military technology. Till now, always military technology was given rise to the civilian product. Now it is reverse. If we talk about, let's say, spectrum management, if we talk about satellites, if we talk about encoding, if we talk about cryptography and quantum, everything we are able to see that civilian technology would be very, very helpful now for the military technology, and that's why we have to engage with the younger breed of the entrepreneur. That's the challenge.
Especially the startups are making very significant contributions.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that we have to engage with the startups, and the people who are startups are mostly young in the age. So it's not denying that a person of my age can also start up a startup, and many of our colleagues must be doing it from the armed force or from civilians, but mostly it is recognized with the younger people. And in one of the earlier seminar, in one of the earlier occasion, I made this point that we have to recognize their characteristics. Their characteristic is they would be impatient. Obviously, they want to be successful.
Yeah.
They are impatient. They don't have deep pockets, and they have many more options to go.
Yes.
So they are not bind to us, that if we don't respond in time, they would remain binding to us. So we have to respond very, very fast to them.
Yes.
DRDO also, we also, armed force also. It cannot be that I would be deciding on your project or specification in 2 to 3 years of time, then I will come back. Or my finance would be sitting on their file and not giving in them installment.
That doesn't happen. No.
They don't have wherewithal to meet our procedural requirement of various reports. So we can see in the IDEX also that the fund which is giving is not very huge, but the type of process we want to engage with them is same, whether the grant is 150 crore or 1.5 crore, the type of procedure same. We are trying to amend that. And that's why we have to internally challenge ourselves and bring out procedures which can engage our startups, the young minds, in constructive manner. Otherwise, we might have to see, we saw the physical brain drain, we might have to see the brain drain when people sitting in the Bangalore doing work for European and American, not for
Yes, in fact, it is already
that
happening.
must be happening.
In fact, all these global capability centers of all Fortune 500 companies, they are located in, most of them in Bangalore.
Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune,
So my fear is that the startups which we are trying to engage with,
Ji.
if they are not able to get the responses they are looking for, they might do the similar type of better work sitting here in this country so the earlier physical limitation of brain drain would also be removed.
Yes.
And this same technology which we are talking about would make them much more enriched, and then we procuring the services and product from outside.
See, in the country, we are very risk averse, especially in the government sector. We want assurance that a project will succeed before we fund. That's why we keep examining it.
And it can't happen that way.
If you want to do cutting edge R&D, you have to learn to accept failures. That mindset change is required.
Yeah.
Unless we do that, achieving technology leadership will be difficult. Because if you want to succeed and you only want to do what others have done so that there is a high chance of success, then you will never be a leader.
Yes.
If you want to do the first of its kind technology, you will get very high failure rates. You have to learn to accept that.
In fact, if failure rate is not adequate, that means we are not taking risks.
Absolutely,
We are
adequate
not-
risk.
Yeah, correct.
So more I would like to add, like, one has to accept that you won't be using the elevator. It's not there. You have to use the stairs. It has to be step by step. You can't see that this product should be absolutely acceptable to me, then only I will engage. It might not be absolutely acceptable to you. It might be something lesser than what you want, but since you have engaged with him, make him feel that he has done some good job and give him money also. And adequate money has to be left on the table, which I always say that, okay, if we become too miser that I will see under the cost plus and that very least amount is left on the table, then the amount of risk which he's taking won't be commensurate with the money which he's getting. So how to leave that adequate amount of money on his table in the private sector, how to gainfully engage with him in a manner in which, I mean, these youngsters, they are not, they don't love hierarchy. They never loved hierarchy. I mean, you also come from the same institute from which I come.
Yeah.
So during my Silver Jubilee, I have gone there in 2014, 15. And I saw that all of them were wearing shorts and chappals, which was never the case in Roorkee. Never.
Yes.
So they are not, this young generation is not very, doesn't love hierarchy at all. And we generally in government just love hierarchy. You have to talk to my director, you have to talk to my JS. No, 3-star, 2-star, single star. We all love hierarchy. So we need to probably break those hierarchies also when we engage with them.
That is right. In fact, when we talk of generation gap, normally they say 10 years is one generation gap. That way, if I count on myself, I passed in 1975. So 5 generational gaps I am holding. So, and if I try to lead the way I had been abroad, I'll not be able to do it. Achha, one thing good which people are talking about DRDO as well as defense production is your technology development fund, IDEX, and also like I talked to some of the CEOs in defense PSUs, they say that Secretary Defense Production is a very hard taskmaster. Mission Gyan Shakti, some 6,900 IPRs is your target with them. So how is that your focus on IPRs and innovations is very, very intense, even higher than the speed by which the people can move. So will you like to elaborate on that, both of you?
Yeah, so this IDEX mechanism and the TDF mechanisms have been a boon. We are now able to fund up to 50 crores for carrying out R&D in a private sector, in a startup, MSME. This kind of funding was never available to them. And as you are aware, industry prefers that the R&D funding come from the government because they are not at the stage where they can afford to take those risks. So with this idea of government funding them, they are now willing to take up more challenging projects. Now, to address your question of IPRs, the IPRs were always being created, but we were not in the business of filing them because there was no motivation really why an IPR should be filed because the scientists don't benefit from it. there is an extra effort to, write that patent. Writing a patent has its own challenges. So it is not that these things have increased. It's just the awareness and the necessity for doing this which has increased. So we have been doing TOTs for ages, but only from 2014 we had a TOT policy where we were officially handing over these things. So this is lack of awareness earlier, and now the awareness that we need to do this to remain relevant, that has resulted in this increased in IPR and TOT filing.
And another issue which we talk in the industry is the pressure on the budgets which are available for R&D to DRDO and also to the industry. And
so it's a good question. Let me make this point because it is very important. If you see globally, most countries, whether developed or developing, spend between 2 to 2.5% of their GDP on R&D. Overall R&D, not defense R&D. In India, we spend about 0.65% of our GDP on R&D. And that too mostly by the government sector. The industry spends very little. So unless we increase this figure to at least 1% over the next 4-5 years, and then over the next 10 years maybe to 2.5%, it will be very difficult to achieve leadership in R&D. Even if you look at our defense budget, we spend only 5% on R&D, 5% of our defense budget. Most countries spend between 10 to 15%. The US spends 15%, China spends about 12 to 13%.
12%, yeah.
So we have to increase the R&D spend in our defense budget. I know there are constraints. Overall, we are still a developing country. We may not be able to increase our defense budget much. But within the defense budget, if we have to achieve Atmanirbharta and leadership, we have to increase the spending on defense R&D. And that necessarily need not be only in DRDO, but also R&D in the private sector, R&D in startups, R&D in PSUs. It has to be a combined effort.
Yeah.
As somebody said in the morning session, a whole of nation approach is required if we have to achieve Atmanirbharta.
In fact,
leadership.
If we are preparing ourselves for transparent warfare and the technology induction, I think the budgets will have to be very ambitiously available. In fact, in case of DRDO, like today, you have about 5% of the defense budget. When I talk of 1890, it used to be something like 6.4%.
Correct.
So
though our budget has been increasing as a percentage of defense budget, it is coming down.
And
overall budget is increasing, but since the defense budget itself is increasing, our budget is also increasing. But as a percentage of defense budget, our budget has been shrinking over the last 5 years.
In fact, Sanjeev ji, when we talk of defense production in the country, in the industry is telling that if instead of some batch mode orders, if we could be given orders in the continuous mode, that will be better. And especially when you have a target of doubling your defense production target over next 6 to 7 years, at this stage, I understand that you are also considering a concept like Indian Defence Finance Corporation, like Indian Railway Finance Corporation. When railway was aggressively expanding and government didn't have money, they created Indian Railway Finance Corporation, which will issue the bonds, and the government will be servicing them. So in order to take the funding needs, which in any case we need on high priority, will you be willing to consider something like Indian Defence Finance Corporation, which can help funding in the sector?
Well, let me answer your all three queries in sequential manner. R&D, Dr. Kamat has just explained. I just would add that now even defense PSUs are aggressively spending money on R&D. But my interaction with them in the past 4 months, why I'm using the word "but" to start, is that this R&D mostly is for the development of the present product, improving in that. So we have to go beyond that, and that's what we are discussing with our defense PSUs, that we have to distinguish between two. That is, one is the development of the product, improvement in the product, money spending being spent for that, where it is, you are aware that the order is going to come, like HAL developing Prachand and spending money on that, because they are very well aware that order is going to come. But they also need to spend money for the totally beyond the horizon type of R&D. And some part of our money they need to spend, and most of them who are able to make good money are willing to do that. That's why in my previous answer I was saying that sometimes we just think that we should give just enough to industry for covering its production cost plus 7% of profit.
Yeah.
In short term, it looks like we have done great. But in long run, if there is not much available with him, then where would he spend? We may say that as a nation, we are spending too little on R&D. But if the money is not with the people who are supposed to spend, then where from they spend? So we have to leave something on their table and also create incentive for long-term R&D. Second thing which I would like to say is that when I said that now a time has come probably where civilian technologies are also having edge over military technology and getting integrated in the military. This also gives the hope that R&D by the people who were hitherto not attached to the military would also be helpful. So we will have that reinforcement coming from, let's say, technology providers, supercomputer developer, let's say telecommunication provider, satellite system developer. They are not doing for military, but they're doing for their own purpose.
Yeah.
That would also help. So we will get that strengthening from them people, and we need to find them. Your last thing was the IDFC app. I really haven't heard this is the new concept which I'm hearing, whether the defense or finance corporation type of thing should be created or not, what would its be objective, and how this money would be returning back. If the aim is to enable people to take risk and develop certain product on the fund which is provided by the government of India, then probably what you are saying is that IDEX should become much more bigger, with better finance to the startups and MSME. It's an idea worth discussing. We'll certainly discuss.
Great, sir. Great. And since you spoke about now integration from civil to the military, two more thought points. Number one is, sir, as far as the civil aircraft manufacturing in the world is concerned, today more than 150 Indian companies are the part of global supply chains of Boeing and Airbus. And that is observation one. Number two, for next 10 years, every week, one aircraft, either made by Airbus or Boeing, will be inducted in India. Huge demand. Not only that, even I am told that waiting list now of their orders is something like 16 to 17 years. Now, and also, like our Prime Minister, when while inaugurating C295 facility in Baroda, said that it is a time now we should go into the manufacture of the civil aircraft. And as you will recall, long back, Dr. Kalam had also given us a vision as President of Aeronautical Society of India that we should go for our development of our own regional transport aircraft. And that also coupled with like the kind of success which we have seen DRDO and HAL together on LCA Mark 1, then Mark 2, then AMCA. So in view of this, will you like to apprise the audience about what is the thinking process on these platforms and how we will be able to leverage our strength in military and infusion of civil and military interface? So your thought process on how LCA is moving, how AMCA is moving, how your process of civil aircraft is moving, and also I must compliment that now GE414, the technology transfer is taking place in India. That will be one good step. So some of your thoughts and thinking process on these projects.
Okay, let me start. I think the regional transport aircraft is being driven by NAL, not by MOD. So, but we have promised the CSIR that whatever help they need in their development based on whatever technologies we have established, whatever test facilities we have established, we are willing to provide that. So our role will be supporting role there. It will be driven by NAL. But you're right, without leveraging the civilian aircraft and the civilian aero engine business, just doing defense aero engines and defense aircraft cannot build a sustainable aerospace industry base. So the real money has to be made from the civil sector, because you don't produce that many number of military aircrafts and military aero engines. So this is a must for the country, and I think we have to make all-out efforts to develop indigenous civilian aircraft which will suitable for our needs. It will now be very difficult to compete in these big aircrafts with Boeing and Airbus, but the regional transport aircraft which can carry up 50 to 100 people between cities is an essential requirement for us. I'll hand it over to Sanjeev.
So thank you very much, Dr. Kamat. So as far as I'm aware that initiative for regional transport aircraft is with NAL and Ministry of Civil Aviation. My association with Ministry of Civil Aviation allow me to say that Ministry of Civil Aviation was on the verge of creating certain structure within the government and also looking for funds to develop regional transport aircraft. Not sure where they have reached. HL is also trying to do something. They're probably on 27th. They're planning some seminar along with Ministry of Civil Aviation on that. I fully concur with Dr. Kamat that economy of scale would come and civil aviation aircraft is also created in this country along with its related business. Then both would reinforce each other, military and civil, the way it is happening in other countries. Good news which you just shared a while ago that at least ALH is now first time getting used in the.
In fact, it's a real great achievement in convincing three ministries together to be forward.
It was not, as you have headed all three, you have been associated with all three organizations. It was not very easy because people, for correct reasons, reasonable reasons, are skeptical of certain platforms. So if we can make success of ALH in ONGC in civilian market, then it will also open up at least psychologically, mind frame that we can make regional transport aircraft in India. Large number of civilian aircrafts are required, as you are very well aware. We can always see that if we want to fly from point A to point B, like place like Goa, Pune, you have to pay huge cost. It's not because that it costs so much, it's because this is a paucity of aircraft flying between different countries, different cities. So obviously it's needed. You asked for LCA and AMCA, and what to say, LCA, we all know this is going on slow. I mean, because of the regions which is
some engine issues.
Major issue of 404 engine and Chairman HAL this week was in USA. I'm sure that he must have negotiated well and we would see better times and as far as LCA Mark 1 is concerned.
With regards to AMCA, the project was sanctioned only last year. The design has been completed and we are now we are looking for a decision from the Raksha Mantri on the model to take forward the development. Once that decision is taken, the development and manufacturing of the first prototype will start and it is on schedule. We expect the first aircraft to fly by end of 20 or to be at least launched by end of 28.
Excellent.
And it will meet the time schedules which we have promised the government.
Our best wishes in that endeavor.
Thank you.
And it will be really great. And so one thing good which I am seeing now is there is a lot of demand of Indian developed products in the foreign countries, like Armenia looking for our products, Philippines went for BrahMos, now France is also asking for Akash. So there is a whole lot of scope there. And the target, since export target is doubling to 60,000 crore in next 7 years, there was some newspaper reports that you may also be thinking about forming a defense export promotion council. There was some media reports on that. So what that concept is and how we will be taking it forward, if you could elaborate on that.
Thank you very much. In fact, that's a fact that export is rising. The figure which we have from 13-14 to 23-24, it has risen by 20 times. If we just change the base year also, make 24-2015 as a base year, then still it's risen more than 10-12 times. So obviously exports are rising. There are many reasons for it. Component level export was always happening in a smaller manner. Now it has gained momentum. So now the good thing is that even platform level exports are happening. This is more heartwarming. Basically, component manufacturing and exporting is one thing, and then platform. That means that as a nation, people are reposing faith in our ability not only to deliver component but also deliver a platform. Obviously, when the exports rise and when we aim to double the exports in the next 5 to 6 years, we have to create good structures to support it, because I see that many times leads are coming, information come from armed forces, from our defense attaches, from private sector, from public sector, but without having good institutional support, we are not able to successfully negotiate and close these deals, or these leads we are not able to convert into the good orders. So we have to think of some structure. The Export Council is one of the structure which is being thought about, and we are in discussion within the ministry and along with our industries. Certainly some structure need to be put in, that we are convinced. Hopefully in coming months, we should be able to put up some structure to take exports further.
In fact, that will be an excellent idea, because if you want to excel your own industry, I think exports is the best way when the world over uses your products. So that will be really good.
And this is the right time, because the world is in a turmoil. Everywhere there is disturbance. This is where people buy defense equipment. So if we can't, the next 10-year window is the best window for us to increase our exports.
That's right. And sir, just next few minutes, 2 questions. We are now going for Aero India 2025. And I am told that the kind of participation which is happening now this time in Aero India is really unprecedented. Foreign OEMs are very enthusiastic. Indian industry is very enthusiastic. So what is that which is going to happen there, and how do you want industry to respond to it?
So response is overwhelming, and that speaks of the event which has taken roots and grown and created a good name for itself. And I must congratulate all the people who have been associated with this event, and the patronage which Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Raksha Mantri provides it. Because without the support of their patronage, without the support of our armed forces, without the support of our HAL, Ministry, DRDO, it wouldn't have been possible. So it's a wonderful event, and the response is quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Now the challenge is to limit, basically. That's I mean, not something which we should be doing, but unfortunately we need to do that. And how to structure it so that it becomes more and more useful would be the challenge, because euphoria is one thing, and converting that euphoria into the tangible outcome, businesses. So now our challenge is of different level, that we have to convert this participation into the meaningful business. And I'm sure that in industries, the private sector participation in the defense product and their appetite to supply to our forces and also to export, and the acceptance of our product outside the country, and our need also of purchasing niche product is all fueling this participation. And with meaningful participation, certain deals should come out which becomes basically a game changer for those particular industry and for that particular country. Then this platform, this event would further gain the confidence of the patrons.
Great, sir. I am told this is going to be a real great moral booster for the industry, and the kind of opportunities which are coming this time possibly were not there on earlier occasions to this extent. Sir, you both have been dealing with the industry. Some appointments, some disappointments. like they ask for more R&D budget, they want for more and more support in their products. What is your wish list with the industry and academia so that we can do better? No criticism, but something which you feel that should be happening.
So my wish list is the industry has to realize that the defense business is a long-term business.
Yeah.
They, once they get into this business, their vision should not be for the short term. That is my only. Lot of the industries, when they come into this, they think they have to cash in very quickly. This is not a business which is, it's not like a service business where you come, quickly make money. Here you have to invest time, money, build
Yes.
capabilities, build capacities. Only then can you succeed. It's a very good business to be in, but you have to have a long-term vision. So that is my only wish list. And the second thing which I would like to suggest to industry, I'm sure it will happen with time, that we have to look at a tierized structure. Today I see every industry wants to do everything. That
Yes.
is not a model meant for success, because the pie is not that big. It's a monopsony right now, although the export market is increasing. So we have to have these lead system integrators where we may have scope for 5 or 6 large companies who act as lead system integrators. Then you have to have these tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 where you have scope for lot many players. And
Yes,
they have
sir.
to build expertise in one domain or 2 domains. Everyone trying to do everything
Will not be really
is going to
successful.
result in a problem in the long run. So that's my wish list. I'm sure what happened in the telecom sector also will eventually happen in the defense sector. But if the industry associations can play a role and encourage industry to get into this model, it will serve the country better.
Industry has to be ready for long gestation period.
That is
They have to have patience, but they are assured that once they are into it, then there is no looking back.
Yeah. With respect to academia, our academia was extremely focused on publications, on doing things which was in their comfort zone. This is changing, and that is what needs to happen in the future. Their focus should be on how to convert the R&D they do into technologies, not stop at publications where your research gets you the recognition, it helps you in your academic growth in your profession. But if they want to contribute to nation building, unless they take their research forward
Yeah.
on their own or in collaboration with R&D organizations, the full effect of their research will not be felt in the nation. So that is my suggestion to the
Yeah.
academy.
You were
But
saying
things are
something?
changing.
Yeah.
I was in IIT Bombay yesterday in their Tech Connect and Tech Fest, and I am seeing that a lot of faculty members are doing their own startups now. They are seeing how the research which they are doing can be translated. So this is changing for the better, and I hope over the years to come this trend will only increase. Thank you.
But this trend has to be copied in the defense PSUs and the industry. They are still not at that level of academic interaction, which DRDO is. So,
So
please
basically,
tell me if I'm wrong on
no,
this.
you are
feeling.
not wrong, but things are changing for
Uh,
good. Basically,
mm.
till now, the PSUs were thinking, or private sector was also mostly in the same league. The research is DRDO job. When they will develop prototype, they will get it cleared, then will manufacture it.
Yes.
And while manufacturing, if certain improvement is required, certain difficulty is there, then we will do the product development and variation of that. So that is changing. There, I think I can see many of our DPSUs closely working with the IITs and developing right now for improvement and probably a little later date for new product, new service, new concept totally. Uh, I am telling my discussion with them is that it's not something to replicate DRDO or replace DRDO. You can't. You shouldn't even.
It
Why
is to
should you think of-
supplement basically.
just DRDO can't do everything. I mean, they won't be doing everything. So, but as you asked the question, wish list is same, as Dr. Kamat says, that people, there are two sets of industries we have. The big industries, they need to be for the long term.
Yeah.
They should not start thinking now this tender is there, so for this tender I will start putting up the facility. If you are in the business of defense,
You
be there,
must invest.
wait. It's a long gestation period business, and certainly will give you dividend, and dividend would come either supplying to the armed force, export, or spin off to the civilian sector. But the second set of industries,
Yeah.
they're small people. Telling them to be here for long term might be my wish list, but it's not possible. So there we need to change. We need to satisfy their immediate needs so that they become, at least bread and butter issues are sorted out, some comfort
funding,
level issues are sorted out, then ask them to be
some
long
funding
term.
stability.
Yeah. And question which you asked a while ago, which I forgot to answer, is that what about long-term contracting?
Yes,
So
sir.
here this has to come from our side. If we want business to remain long-term invested, we should also be ready to give long-term contract. Not every time I will go for L1 after 2 years again.
Yes.
So specialization, Dr. Kamat spoke again. It's a fact that we should look for specialization. Not every industry would be doing shipbuilding also, aircraft building also, tank building also, ammunition building also, and small arm, big arm, not. So, but then we need to also develop a specialization. So we also need to relook our procurement policy that whether every shipyard should be competing for every platform.
Yes.
So whether we should, I mean, that's what I was saying, that we need to also tweak our policy so that people can remain long-term invested. If you want somebody to be in the submarine building or aircraft building, then he should be there for the business for next 15, 20 years. So is his suppliers.
Something which Koreans have done or Germans have done, identifying some 3-4 big brand ambassador companies focusing into 1 or 2 areas of expertise. Some long-term vision on that.
That is the only way ahead.
Sujit, you will have the liberty of asking one question. No, no, sir. Difficult questions I have covered. So Sujit, you will have one question in mind. But before that, in the meantime, he's thinking of his questions. Sir, tell me 3 priority areas where, not as a Secretary Defense Production, but as Sanjeev Kumar, you will have a feeling that yes, if those 3 areas are achieved for defense production in India, then you will be the happiest person in the world. And same way, Mr. Kamat, tell us 3 of your priorities, which you feel that DRDO will be working, which will make you not only professional happy, but as a person also happy. Like today, I am one of the happiest person when I see ALH being inducted in ONGC offshore. So that kind of feeling, those kind of thinking, if you could share with us, what will be in your mind?
So it's a very difficult question, though level of difficulty is difficult to assess also. So basically, I would be happy if more and more youngsters and young entrepreneurs, our engineers, can be integrated into this high end of technology.
Yeah.
Because for many years, of the people of my generation who graduated from excellent engineering colleges, institutes, either have migrated or have looked with envy the people who migrated from our batch. So I want them to get integrated as fast as possible and develop some new technology. Second thing would be more and more indigenization should happen so that the jobs are created in this country, technology is created in this country. Third is that technologies seamlessly should go from civil to military and military to civil.
Excellent, sir.
These are the things which I would like to see.
All the 3 visions of yours are really what India needs today. And I really compliment you on that. Kamat sir, you will like to elaborate?
So let me change track. I will go in terms of technology. I think Sanjeev has already highlighted the broad vision which is necessary. So I will say the 3 critical technologies which we need to master. One is aero engines.
Yes.
Second is this hypersonic missile technology. And the third I will put it is cyber.
cyber, yeah.
These three technologies, we have to achieve leadership. There are certainly several more which will be equally important. But I would be happy that over the next 5 years, if we develop
These three
capabilities
will
which
be
will
important,
make us
yeah.
Atmanirbhar in this.
Great.
Thank you.
Sujit, your call.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to ask a question to both of you. But this is something that we've been discussing for some time. And you mentioned it also, that we have to have a continuous means of production and a very close coordination between development and production. From the earlier presentation that we saw this morning, that time has to be really compressed. From the time it is on the design board, on the clean sheet that we start with, including the RTA, to the time it is already flying. This is concurrent design and concurrent production has to be one of the things. This is something I've learned earlier. The second thing which I wish to ask you for your views on is this whole, when we are designing, while the airframe or the engines might go a long, long way, but the modularity in the equipment has to be very, very sensitive, which might require alternate EMI, EMC protections, different ICDs, different voltages and all of that. So my question to you is that, which we're talking about startups and all of them, how do we do these two things? How do we move from, small orders to a pipeline production that you start making? The requirement is to have whatever X number of fighter aircraft. You're not going to order 83 now, 20 now, 30 now. You please make 5 aircraft a year for whatever time you want. That will establish the supply chain. So some view on that and a little bit on modularity on that. So these are my two things, if I could request your views on. Thank you.
Yeah. So coming to modularity, I think that's an excellent concept. Then the modules which you develop or the subsystems which you develop can be used in other systems. Then that cuts down your development time. So that, I think, we have to move towards this concept. Unfortunately, in the past, every designer has been trying to do everything on his own, not looking at what module he can reuse. But gradually I see that changing, especially in our missile cluster now. Whatever we are doing is entirely modular. That's why we are able to configure any new missile very quickly. So this is changing, and I hope it will come in other sectors also. With respect to production and ensuring that they get long-term orders, as Sanjeev answered previously, that is a policy change which we need to. Currently, our processes are such that every time we take out a tender, try to get L1, that process will never result in any capacity building. So this is a challenge which we have in the government, how we can...
But sir, I must compliment the ministry, especially defense production, like in case of LCA production lines. HAL has a visibility of more than 200 aircrafts now. So they have an opportunity where they can develop their long-term suppliers, enter into the rate contracts. So this experiment has happened with LCA, and I am sure it will be followed in Mark II, MCA and other projects, especially some projects.
Unfortunately, LCA is the only exception. Otherwise, we don't give the industry full visibility of, and then the contract placement has to happen at the same time. Otherwise, every time you have to go through a tendering process, it's a challenge.
No, in fact,
so
sir,
it's a more on our, the government rather than...
no, in fact...
I heard what Dr. Kamat is saying. LCA, basically there was no other option. Had there been two HL, we would have run the tender. That's how we are. So taking LCA as an example, so it brings down to the same thing that our armed force need to project requirement, not MOQ, minimum order quantity, optimum order quantity, maximum order quantity. Now we go for an MOQ. So they have to project. That means their perspective planning, which I'm sure they do it, should convert into the orders to the person who is going to supply, and that person should also be able to engage, as Dr. Kamat very rightly say, that I may be aware that you may give me, but unless you give me,
I'll not be sure of it.
So when you give me, I go to the banks, I go to the And LCA is that way the spin of LCA is a good example, because of the LCA, HAL has now placed the orders with their suppliers for 5 years, 6 years.
Ji.
So they are now in the process of doing that. But it should get replicated in most of our platform level purchase. It should.
Good, sir. Thank you. And I am done with most of my interaction questions with you. And let me tell you, sir, this was my first job at the age of 70 to have a conversation like this. And I think this is one startup which I can also think of doing it. And thank you very much for this coffee table chat without coffee, which I am sure Sujit will offer us outside. So with this, any other interesting questions anybody will have in mind? Some very quick question. Yeah, some quick.
So I'm Colonel Nainan from the IDI. So what happens is the technology must drive the strategy of the outplaces. But what generally happens is, so my point was, sir, that technology must drive the strategy. But generally what happens is the strategy follow what is available. And going with Atmanirbharta also, we need to develop the research within the country first. Having said that, sir, whatever we are doing for the Center of Excellence expertise, we need to have a good interactive between the armed forces, the research and development establishment, the academia, and the industry. So are we taking some lead onto this, sir? I just want to quote one of the seminars I attended at Agra, sir. This was conducted by the US DARPA. So that got all the technological colleges from all over, including US and India. And the amount of small mini UAV technology we could see then was world class, sir. So we need to do something like that in today's world also. And we talked about Zorawar, sir, light tank. We are just developing a tank. So just not telling about technology, what we need to do is use that platform, integrate it with autonomy. Let it be a tank without crew. Use a satellite or a LEO or a HAPS or a UAV for that. Do a UAV to tank coupling. Give it artificial intelligence. I drive it into the battlefield, sir. And I am controlling the war from a boardroom. So let us talk of niche technology than just going in for next 5 years or 10 years. I wanted your views on that, sir.
Before you answer it, I just wanted to tell him the way today our defense forces, DP, DRDO are collaborating with each other and interchanging. In fact, in the previous session, defense forces, you also listened to some of their views, that you all are integrating very, very nicely. Appreciated. And also, sir, like now the new concepts are coming like integrated battle teams, small team, nimble teams, and they will have their own satellites, their own drones and all that. So things are changing, and I think our defense forces are quite alive to it. With this, sir, over to you.
Yeah, so let me address his last question first.
Ji.
So we have to move to a spiral approach. You can't have all what you are saying in the first. So let the services induct a few tanks, which will be the conventional tanks, the light tanks. Then we will look at how we can use the same platform to make it autonomous and all the suggestions which we gave. You can't just target everything here and then take 7 years or 8 years. So it has to be a spiral approach which gives the motivation that some tanks are inducted. So the motivation for the team, the production agency, everything is there. If you just aim for very high and then take a long time, it doesn't serve the purpose. So initially what immediate requirement is, we need a tank to fight at those high altitudes.
We need a tank, and improvements will be the gradual with the time,
so
with our
all those
experience.
technology additions will be done on the same platform. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel when we do a autonomous light tank.
Frankly, first observation of you, I couldn't understand. You said technology should drive the strategy, and then you also said that strategy is doing what is being developed with whatever is available. So it's me same sentence. It doesn't. There is no contradiction between two.
What is it is, instead of the technology, the strategy following what is available today, they should tell us what is required.
So that's how it has always been happening in military. In fact, in all advanced countries, maximum time the technology was coming from the military. This World Wide Web, this CDMA technology, so many technologies has come from the military. So military was
Always in the
leading
forefront, yeah.
Now the time has come where civil is also leading, because many of the areas which are common, which are secular in that sense, are getting integrated in the military. Second thing you said, that until unless R&D, we can't think of Atmanirbhar. It's like chicken and egg. We have to start whatever I have. I can't say that until unless I have this, I won't do this. I have to do together. Third thing you said, that why can't we all are together? As Dr. Tyagi said, that we are trying to be together. It's good that there is a sense of, let's say, dil mange more. It's good. We need to further integrate. But whatever I could see in last 4 months and whatever I could hear from attending and talking to various people, things have changed a lot. Earlier people were not sitting together. So further, probably we need to integrate faster, better. Point is well taken. We'll try to do our best.
Yes, and in fact, sir, I tell you, today's discussions, they are also a way apart in a sense. Like we started with the talk of CDS, then two former chiefs were there. Air Marshal Bhaduria was there, and Karamveer Singh ji. They also spoke about what needs to be reinvented into the defense forces. Then we followed a session with the deputy level and the session where you also attended briefly about what defense forces are thinking. And now we are also interacting and telling what is in our mind. So I think this kind of synergy and fusion has started happening. It is happening on various other forums also. And in the times to, Mishra ji, you want to say something? नहीं सर, ब्रह्मोस चीफ को नॉन टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन पूछने की इजाजत नहीं हो सकती. Okay.
My name is Dr. Sudhir Mishra. I retired as a Director General BrahMos, and
he is the one in whose time this export order to the Philippines was finalized. So Mr. Mishra is a very accomplished leader.
So two more exports which I'll mention to you in person. Actually, what I want to tell you is that DRDO is a technology generator, but most of their technologies, when they go to PSUs or to private sectors, so the credit doesn't come back to DRDO. They never mention in the advertisement that it is a DRDO developed product. So that's why I said it's a non-technical question. Maybe you will
we will convey a message to industry that whenever they use, yes,
yeah.
अभी जैसे आपने वो भारत फोर्स को दिया है एक order.
You see,
they are acknowledging it.
No. What happened, sir? In one of the fire chat, I was sitting with them, and this person was mentioning that I have developed the gun ATG, and then I mentioned to him that you are producing. It is developed by the DRDO. Then he said, yes, I correct myself. So that is happening at many times. But I'm very happy to see the chemistry between DRDO chief and defense production chief. So my best wishes to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Your observation is quite pertinent. It can be taken care of. It's a very small ask. At least through DPSU, we should be able to ensure that.
Yes.
Certainly.
Okay. Certainly. The point is well taken and noted by the chairs. So with this, I think we can conclude this session. Oh, Neelam ji.
Hi, sir. Neelam Matthews. Just wanted to check with you, given Trump's threatening messages to India saying the tariffs will be put on India, is that going to affect the engines and the other contracts in future that we have with the US? Thank you.
If I gather correctly, tariff would be put on which we export to them. Yeah. Engine is going to be import, so shouldn't really affect.
And I think it is in the strategic interest of both countries to have this.
And it's a long-term contract which has been negotiated, signed, as at least 404 is concerned. 414 is still under negotiation, so we'll get to know. But this is basically being imported, so the price would be required to be increased if some of their imports getting taxed by their administration, and maybe. So
Let's worry when Trump comes, because he's only threatening. He has not done anything yet.
So with this, sir, we conclude this session. Thank you very much. As I told you, I enjoyed this first job of my life of this kind of discussion. And I am really encouraged the way you both cooperated and helped us in this discussion. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, dear gentlemen, for this amazing fireside chat. This certainly has, I think, got our minds into more informative, inquisitive mode. Before we proceed for lunch, it's my honor to invite Ms. Shobhana Joshi, as former Secretary of Defense Finance, Ministry of Defense, and the founder of co-chairperson of SAMDeS, to the stage to kindly felicitate our distinguished panelists. To Dr. Samir V Kamat, Secretary, Department of Defense R&D, Chairman DRDO.
Thank you.
To Shri Sanjeev Kumar, IS, Secretary, Department of Defense Production. And to our excellent moderator, Dr. RK Tyagi, former Chairman HAL, Founder Member, Governing Council, SAMDeS.
No, in fact, I tell you, it was the idea of Mr. Kamat and Mr. Sanjeev that instead of monologue, we'll have this kind of discussion.
New innovation.
Yes, started with them.
May I please request the guest dignitaries for a group photograph, please? Ma'am, with you.
Be careful.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shobhana Joshi and the gentlemen. We are truly grateful for your insightful contributions. It has been a great honor having you all here. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have a big round of applause? Thank you.